Did you know crabs invented heavy metal? Facts.
Hello? Hello? Hey. Just testing the sound volume for a minute. La la la, me me me. Testing the sound volume for a minute. La la la, me me me. Okay, let me mute that because hearing everything on a delay is infuriating. I think I have the level about right. Hi, how's everyone doing today? And by everyone I mean no one, because I don't think anyone showed up in chat yet. So, well, welcome to my stream. Just thought I might do a little just chatting today because, you know, then I have, just while I have a little bit of natural light coming in the window. Hope everyone's having a lovely day out there. So how have you all been doing? Just having a hell of a day, and my sleep schedule has been trash. Unsurprisingly, that's kind of a chronic thing. So I hope everyone's been doing all right out there. It's Thursday evening here in beautiful New Jersey. Not a heck of a lot going on. It's a little way too early to cook dinner or anything like that, so I'm just killing a little time here. I've got my pumpkin spice coffee and my favorite mug over here, which is not in front of the camera. Let me see. There we go. Wait, where is it? There you are. Yeah. See? It's inspirational. So I don't really have an outline or anything prepared today, so so this is more of a stream test than anything else at the moment. You know, no, I have to cook dinner later, but it's, you know, a little early to do that, and there's nothing else that's that urgent at the moment. Yes, how's everyone doing out there? Whew. I was going to play some Conan, but I'm not too sure. I was also going to play some, well, actually, that's one thing I would probably not do on stream, is I would not play. I play a lot of DBD. I have over 4,000 hours on it, but given the state of the game right now, and that I'm a little burned out on it, I think I'm going to give that a rest. That's not something I really want to get. I don't want to make that my mainstream thing, because I've seen a lot of people, like, I follow a lot of streamers who usually do tons of DBD. Like a lot of the small streamers I know, it's like, you know, big staple of their content. But I've also known ones who have just kind of moved on from it because it's, you know, the burnout is real, and just, you know, I can just imagine, you know, playing that like 8 hours a day, and you know, dealing with, like, you know, toxic players and toxic chat, and people, you know, crazy people showing up to your chat to complain about, like, you know, why did you do this or why did you do that, and, you know, in the match that they, you know, or, you know, toxic trolls come in, like, you know, they act like total jerks in the game, and they come in to be like, haha, you know, GG's, and, like, yeah, I don't need that nonsense right now. Not something I need in my life. I do enjoy the game, though. I mean, when it's good, it's really good. When it's bad, it's trash, you know, and lately it's been kind of trash. That game has been going through a lot of struggles lately, though. It seems like every time they fix something, they break something else. I did a Conan stream the other day. It ended up being an unintentional ASMR stream, which I hope everyone enjoyed because I didn't realize my microphone volume was way too low to be at all useful. So that was a little embarrassing, baby streamer struggles. I know you could never tell by watching this, but I'm kind of new to the streaming thing. So I'm trying to figure out what to do today. I have a lot of classics that are kind of mostly interesting only to me. Honestly, I have a lot to say about speaking of streaming, I have a lot to say about how I feel about the whole streaming platform lately, and I don't know if I have anything nice to say, so, not like this is necessarily, I don't really do positivity streams all that well to begin with, but, I have kind of a rant that, I don't want to, until I've really kind of formulated what I want to say and how I want to say it, I'm not sure that I want to go off here, but yeah, I'm a little skeptical of this whole streaming thing lately, and there's a lot of things I want to say about this business that kind of one of the reasons I want to eventually maybe maybe outline some kind of rant, maybe I'll do it for a YouTube later or something, is that I don't want to talk about kind of how the problems with streaming when I'm say in the chat of someone else's stream, because then it comes as personally discouraging to them, and I don't think a lot of this is exactly the problem. I don't think a lot of streamers, if they're especially the small ones, I don't think they need the discouraging hot takes right now, and it's kind of disruptive and can get people and can get people arguing with you in chat, and that's not how I want to behave as a guest in someone else's channel. Generally when you just you feel like you just have to jump in and say something, it's usually a mistake, in that kind of environment, in my experience. So, but yeah, I'm, it's just watching a lot of people that I've come to respect and admire on this platform kind of struggling the past couple of years, and it seems Twitch kind of focuses on everything but actual problems at times, and I'm just it's frustrating to watch, and it's frustrating to be a part of it. It kind of makes you feel dirty for being part of the platform sometimes, because that they can't be completely oblivious to all these problems, and that I know they're doing the best they can in a new medium. Some of the management, I understand there's this is something that this is still a relatively new medium. I guess you could see of it as kind of the really early days of television or radio, where people didn't know sort of what was supposed to be normal yet. But you would think that as long as it's been around now, streaming is not, it's not a total niche thing anymore. For over a decade, we've all been kind of putting ourselves on camera, and you would think they would have certain things figured out by now that they still seem clueless about. So, I don't know. I'm just trying to give, whatever support and encouragement I can to the people that I want to see keep streaming, and that I want to be able to succeed and be happy in this business. And, well, it doesn't feel like enough sometimes. So anyhow, so welcome to my stream, and yeah, if you just have, don't be afraid to say hi. It's probably going to play something later, but for right now, I'm just kind of testing the waters about, how my stream's working. I have this set for as doing a 1080p at 60 frames, and my upstream, well, last time I tested on speed test max, it was about 5800K. So I have it going. I have OBS set to try to get it to about 5000K upstream, just to leave some wiggle room. I figure that's like leaves 10% of the capacity unused. That in case it has some hiccups, or in case somebody here tries to upload something or back up their phone or something. Hopefully it won't knock the stream offline. What games am I planning? Well, the ones that I've been playing the most personally lately on Steam, I have Conan Exiles. I've spent way too much time, and it's almost all solo for something that's really supposed to be a multiplayer game. So but I mean, I just love the base building. I love the exploration, the climbing. There's just so many things I dig about that game, even as broken as it is. I mean, I make fun of DBD being like a total train wreck all the time as far as updates, bugs, glitches. But I mean, if you saw the stuff that Conan went through over the past couple of years, and aside from that, I don't play PvP or on public servers, but I hear the public servers are a disaster area as far as like hacking and griefing and whatever is concerned. So I don't really touch that. If I play multiplayer, it's going to be with friends on a private server. But it's a fun game though. It's a real work of art, and they include a lot of stuff from the classic Conan stories, and aside from which the visual and music is obviously inspired a lot by the old Conan movies, like Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer. So there's lots of fun stuff in there. That's actually welcome to the channel, Mike. I'm sorry, Mike T Zap. Welcome. Nice to see you. Is that Michael's Zap? I'm sorry. I think I got your name right now. Welcome to the channel. Nice to have you here. So Conan's one of my favorites. Dead by Daylight. When I say DBD, I mean Dead by Daylight. And for anyone who doesn't know, but I mean, you've probably seen that game all over Twitch. Asymmetrical survival horror game. Basically, four idiots try to repair generators before a crazy person sacrifices into a tentacle monster. Hilarity ensues, etc. That's been a lot of fun lately when it works, and when you don't have toxic killers, and when the game doesn't disconnect you for nothing, and when you're not constantly getting screwed by lag in a game where one thing lagging for a few milliseconds can really screw the entire match, where it's like you can have a certain amount of lag in some games, and it's like I would think in something like Borderlands 2, if you're lagging a little bit, it's like, okay, like maybe a few, it's not as big a deal as something in DBD, where it's like whether the hit connects like a millisecond before or after somebody vaults, the entire game can hinge on that stuff like that constantly, and it seems really sensitive to that. So, and unfortunately the servers are the dedicated servers are not as robust as they kind of hoped they would when they were going to be when they implemented that. So that was a little bit of a train wreck. But I think we did a pretty good job so far, etc. As far as like stuff that really got me into PC gaming, I really want to play a lot of first-person shooters, but I don't know how much for like the old, like I guess what they call boomer shooters now, like stuff like Serious Sam, Duke Nukem, the original Doom games. Like, I don't know how many people would watch that if I did. I mean, I could just stream it for my own amusement regardless, but I don't know how much of an audience there is for that these days. So I mean everything's new to somebody. Maybe a few people will find it interesting, because I have a ton of that stuff, and I also have a lot of the ones where people have done the the procedural, like the roguelike or roguelite shooters, like Immortal Redneck and so on. Like, yeah, Apex. I never really got into hero shooters. I never got into like Overwatch or Apex or anything like that. That's well, I mean, don't worry, I'm bad at most of these. If we're going to be super honest. I mean, I'm still, like, everyone, the thing that's driving me crazy with DBD lately is everyone keeps telling me, like, rank 1 is easy. like, I remember back when I was going for rank 1 Survivor, they're like, oh, anybody can get rank 1. You just, like, if you play long enough, you'll get it. Don't worry about it. And, like, the struggle it took me to get rank 1 once, like, that it even make it up that far once, that was just, I mean, it's like, once and never, like, once was enough, like, once and never again for that. So now I'm trying to get killer rank 1, and everyone's telling me the exact same thing, and if anything, I'm having an even worse time of it. I kind of assumed just because of the hard time I was having as Survivor, like, I kind of felt like, wow, this game feels killer-sided, at least when I'm playing it. And, as killer, I'm really clawing my way up that learning curve. But, wow, I still really haven't settled on I have a more or less, I have a sort of standard build for Survivors and standard tactics that I can kind of at least have a halfway decent game as long as I don't just get immediately tunneled out of the game. But for killer, I'm still fumbling in the dark. Still trying different killers, different perks, different add-ons. I had really good games. After being stuck at rank 8 for like a week, I had I think it was the other night. I had a bunch of really good games as Trapper. I don't know if the matchmaking was broken or whatever, or I was just getting lucky and getting matched against boosted people. But I got 2 whole ranks as Trapper, which is, like, ordinarily that's, like, a really bad killer to play if you're a novice at killer. So I'm still scratching my head over that one, but I'll take it. But I went from rank 8 to rank 6. So, baby steps, I'm getting there. I think I'll get it eventually. I don't know if I'm going to get it before this rank reset, though, which is only in, like, a week. So, I'm going to be a little salty if I get almost there and then that rank reset knocks me back down the ladder, but, we'll see what happens. But yeah, getting rank 1 Survivor was, like, possibly the hardest thing I've ever done in a video game, and I've done a lot of really strange things. If you look at my achievements, I've done some weird things in video games. So that was pretty rough, but I'm working on it. So what do you play? How do you what character do you play in Apex? What is that like? I haven't really watched all that much. If you're interested in sharing, it's it's up to you. But well, jumping around is always fun. I like games with really good movement powers, so that's always fun for me. It's one of the things I like about Conan is the climbing up a cliff and then just sort of like just YOLOing down the side of the cliff, and you can just sort of grab the edge and slide, and it looks really cool, like you're a cat in a motivational poster. So yeah, it's some fun stuff. And they, and there's a dodge roll in that, which they had to nerf the hell out of it, but it's still fun. Yeah, it's the teamwork that makes or breaks it in those games, to my understanding. It's the same thing in, like, Dead by Daylight. If you have survivors who actually have a sense of teamwork, it's a world of difference from if you just have everyone just trying to farm a few points before they die, which is, what usually happens in solo queue. That's at least the one thing I don't have going against me for when I'm trying to get killer now, is that, like, at least as killer, you don't have to worry about bad teammates. You just have to worry about getting, like, red ranks who are just gonna, like, flashlight and teabag you the whole game. So yeah, so what else have I been playing lately? Some of the older games that I want to play on this channel eventually is, like, I want to do the original 2 Max Payne games, which were really good, in my opinion. Like, third-person shooters with, like, a film noir kind of, crypto crime storyline take on them. And they were, by Remedy Entertainment, people who did Alan Wake and Control, and actually, Alan Wake is another series I should really do here. A lot of recent games don't really do it for me. To me, it's like, or stuff from, like, 90s and 2000s, it's like early 2000s is really kind of what got me enthused about PC gaming. So, I just don't know if doing a classics channel in, like, 2021 is, like, really viable. I don't really have, I'm like, I grew up with the Atari 2600 and stuff. So I mean, I do have some retro gaming stuff. I have a PS2 if I ever find something to hook it up to. You know, you need an adapter for like to get to work with HDMI with your capture card and so on now. That's a little investment of hardware that I have to look into. So I have a bunch of. I could actually play the original GTA games on the original hardware. So that would be, you know, like Vice City and you know, GTA 3 and San Andreas. Yeah, what's the only MMO? Like the one MMO that I did. Really, Guild Wars. Okay, well, you did. Yeah, Guild Wars is interesting. The one that I did was like there's this casual MMO called Spiral Knights that I think I have something like 5,000 hours in, and that was like, I don't want to talk too much about my personal life, but that was like a really kind of that was. I mean, well, this is kind of a weird segue. It's like, yeah, I played Spiral Knights during a really dark time in my life. You know, I guess I just. Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, you know, something you just plug in USB. USB RCA adapter for SNES, and it works great. Well, I mean, anything you can just, like, plug into a USB port, I mean, that simplifies things greatly. You don't have to drop a capture card into the computer or whatever. I mean, this one, I don't know if I would, I mean, I've built my own PCs before, but I did not build this one. This is a Main Gear, which I ordered a few years ago because the original, for a long time, I was using a custom build that my friend, who I haven't talked to in years, which is like, it's another, well, like I said, no personal life stuff right now, but you know, taught me how to build computers, and you know, it was one I was using one that I built in 2005 up until like a few years ago, and there were a lot of games I just couldn't play because it just, you know, just wasn't going to happen with the you know, memory and CPU I had. After I upgraded I replaced the video card, and then there were some games I was able, that was when I could get Borderlands 2 to run and so on, but there were other, you know, there was still a lot of stuff I couldn't run until I got this machine, you know, and fortunately this was a gift from my sister, because if you think that, like, you know, I'm not a rich man and, like, ordinarily would not be shelling out for a pre-built, but, you know, my sister decided to treat me for my birthday, so that was, well, it's like combined, like, sort of birthday, Christmas gift thing. It was a busy year, and we just sort of, like, didn't really get to do a lot of the usual celebrating, so. Okay, it says I'm reconnecting to my chat room, so I hope that doesn't mean that my stream is dying here, or is that just Twitch being twitchy? Because I just got that welcome to the chat room thing, and yeah, I thought I was in my chat room. Interesting. Yeah, but I was playing, there's this little, like, it used to be by Sega, but they sold it off to, yeah, just Twitch being Twitch, you know how it is. There was, okay, good, thank you for letting me know, actually. Also, I mean, how is the volume over there, by the way? Because I completely screwed up. I had mentioned it, I think, earlier before you got here, but I did, like, a 2-hour Conan stream the other day, and oh, thank you very much. There was it was kind of an unintentional ASMR stream because I had my microphone volume set completely wrong. So it's basically just sounds like me muttering, like, faintly under the Conan background music, and it was, you know, I mean, it was basically a test stream anyway, so I guess, you know, point of test streams is finding out what works and what doesn't work, so, you know, but I didn't realize until I watched the VOD, because, you know, I kind of had, like, no feedback from anyone, so, yeah, that was, yeah, not my best moment. It was a good stream otherwise, though. I did some, you know, it's just me screwing around in my Conan bases and just doing a base tour, basically. So, I realize I'm looking over to the right at chat and not in the direction of the fucking camera, so that's very classy of me. Yeah, so yeah, Spiral Knights is like, it was a game by Sega that it's like this little sort of, like, it looks kind of like has a Nintendo aesthetic, I guess, to it, you would say, like, it, you know, it's like cutesy little, like, you know, like big head alien knights, or like, exploring procedurally generated dungeons. It's an overhead twin stick control scheme. That's your these like cute little knights who crash landed on this alien world, which is sort of constructed from like bits and pieces of all these other planets, which is why they have the different biomes and environments. And the whole thing is like sort of a mechanical, like constantly shifting maze, which is, how they explain the procedural generation elements is that, the clock works, which is the dungeon area, is always changing. And you go, basically you just sort of delve as many levels as you can get. So, like, you can do the arcade, which is just, you just try to get through like 30 levels down to the core, and then you go home. Or there's a whole mission chain with like story missions that you can do with friends. They have up to four players per party. You can have guilds. You have a player economy where you can buy and sell items. Although that's kind of like with things like unbinding fees and whatever, it's really not as fluid as you would expect, because they really want you to buy cosmetics and not just get them from someone else. So, and it's like, the problem is, over the past couple of years, they haven't introduced a new story mission in at least a couple of years that I'm aware of, and now it's basically loot boxes. It's, you pay $5 for a box that might have a good cosmetic and might have crap in it. And, that's kind of where the game is now, because that's where a lot of games are now, because that's apparently where the money is. As long as people keep throwing money at that, they're going to keep collecting it. But, what can you do? Still a fun game, though. It's a fun little pastime. I don't really engage with it all that much anymore, because to do the grind for the really good stuff without opening the wallet, and I feel like I already dumped kind of an embarrassing amount of money into that back when I had nothing else to do. The last thing I got was that, just because the True Love Locket is such a rare drop and I wanted to have 2 of them, like I saw someone selling 2 of them in the game's auction house, and I was like, okay, sure, I calculated this will cost me about $20 worth of energy, and that's the last $20 I'm ever spending on this game, and, I'm done now. So basically I spent $20 for 2 items that I rarely use, because I hardly ever play the game anymore. Good job. But yeah, I mean, I've actually, there's a few streamers I would like to get into that sometime, just because I think that we could have a fun time just grinding the story missions, and it's a relatively chill game without too many like crazy toxic people in it, So, it's a very I think it's mostly targeted younger audiences. It used to be by Sega, but they had to, Sega basically ditched the game because I guess it wasn't doing well for them, and it's got sold off to this company called Grey Havens, which was, I think, is a couple of the developers from Three Rings who developed it for Sega. I think Three Rings is the same one that did Puzzle Pirates. But a couple of the developers basically bought the game so that it wouldn't just go out of business. That's my impression. I could have details of this wrong, so don't trust me 100% on this. I'm just kind of vaguely remembering from what happened at the time. But the game is still live today, and there's still a lot of people in it. They're doing an event. The event running now, I think, is the Apocrypha, where it's like sort of this weird like Lovecraftian sort of events that they run every so many months, where you can get tentacle cosmetics and stuff like that. So, I remember, but I already did all my grinding for that, for all the parts that I actually wanted. So, I don't think I'm doing that this year, or. Most of the things that I want that, you have to grind from, getting, do event missions to get the tokens, to get the materials for the item, and so on. I think I've done all the ones that I'm interested in. So, I mean, I'm a little embarrassed that, that I spent as much time in that game that I did, that, my Steam, you look at my Steam, and that's, my most hours in any game is that silly MMO, so. It was fun while it lasted, though. I mean, it's just, I don't want to dump more hours into that when there's, literally hundreds of games in my Steam library that are not even touched yet, that I haven't even started on. Because I tend to buy a lot of stuff, for the collection, and then it just sits there. So, I'm hoping that at some point, streaming this will motivate me to go through my Steam collection, be like, hey, look at this cool old rare game that I have that nobody else is playing right now. So that could be fun. So aside from that, I talked about Spiral Knights, Dead by Daylight, Conan Exiles. What else have I been messing around with lately? I liked one of the old game types that I like that I don't think would do well on Twitch, because I don't think I've ever seen anyone playing one once, to be perfectly serious, is the old, like, scrolling shooters, like, if you remember stuff like Gradius and R-Type, things like that. There are a few good games like that on Steam for people who are still enthusiasts of that type of game, but I hardly ever see it on here, and I kind of figure there's probably a reason for that. Probably nobody watches it, but the one that I really like, which I think is one of the best ones on Steam, and it's dirt cheap because it's like, I think, game from like maybe around 2005 or so, but there was a game called Jets and Guns. The gold edition, which has the extra missions and extra ships and everything, is the one that's on Steam, and it's definitely worth the $7 if you're really into that type of game. I mean, if you're not into it, it regularly goes on sale for 70% off. So I mean, you can get it for like under $3 after tax. And if you think you might like that type of game, I mean, just wait for it to go on sale and give it a shot. It's a very well crafted, like, I love the pixel art, I love the music, I love the little cartoon intros between the missions. There's so much good stuff about that game, but I mean, it is kind of unbalanced because, I mean, they worked over the weapon balance a few times, but there's still some combinations that are just so broken that, like, once you get certain combinations of weapons, you sort of, like, the game is kind of a cakewalk from a certain point. But it's good, though. And there was a sequel. There's Jets and Guns 2, which I was part of the early access bug testing for. That came out a few years ago, and that's also pretty good, but that's a really different experience, because that game, I think, is only something like 10 missions. And the combat system is definitely changed a lot, that they kind of added all these weird sort of Diablo-like elements to it, which, I have kind of mixed feelings about. But the sound, the music, the art, I mean, all that stuff is still great. So, it doesn't really seem to have, like, kind of the story and personality that the first game had, but I mean, it was worth it. It was worth it enough for me to go through it and get the achievements. So, so I'm pretty happy with my purchase there. And I did catch one of the bugs for them, so, that they responded to my, like, post in the Steam forums and fixed the bug. So, I'm pretty happy about that. Did my part to contribute to making it a better game, so that was nice. Yeah, so I have that. I have Darius Burst Chronicle Saviors, which I haven't started yet. I have Sinamora, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, which is another, like, Japanese scrolling shooter, or Japanese style scrolling shooter, which I haven't started that yet either. I've played a lot of Oblivion and Fallout and Skyrim, a lot of open world games I've done a lot of. I've played lots of hours of Oblivion. My Steam hours are not reflective of how long I've actually played Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion and Fallout 3, because I used to play them before I had the Steam versions, when I had them on physical disc. I probably sank at least 1,000 hours into each one, if we're gonna be honest. I don't think the Steam hours are reflective of that, because I've played the Steam versions a lot too, but not nearly as much. Because I did a couple of playthroughs and then I moved on to other games because I'd been playing those games to death. I still have the discs for most of these, though. I've never played BioShock. That would be a good one to start on. Actually, let me look at my Steam library, because I even forget what I have here half the time. Another good game I really had a great experience with was Torchlight 2. Torchlight, not the first one, but Torchlight 2 is a really great sort of Diablo clone, and that's Yeah, I did so many hours of that. I have like the 4 character classes. I have a character in each one that's like 100th level, and I've done most of the achievements. Some of the achievements I haven't bothered with because they're online only stuff, or they're just... Yeah, TL2 is a good game. I mean, the one who got me into that actually was, I think I saw Total Biscuit do a review of it on his YouTube channel, and it looked like something that would be up my, definitely be up my alley because I like the cute art style and the dungeon crawling and so on. I had a lot of good hours with that game. It also has multiplayer, but I have not multiplayered with anyone yet. So I've gifted it to a few streamers I know. Maybe they want to do multiplayer sometime. Maybe they don't. I don't know if the multiplayer still works. I think you have to... I think it might be one of those things where you have to sign up for an account to use the multiplayer with a service that like doesn't exist anymore. So that's... yeah, that's, might be, might not be. We'll see. Yeah, but that was definitely, I got some good bang for my buck out of that. I tried to play the first one, and the first one is a little too jank for me. The first one, like, everything that they improved about the controls and the loot and everything in Torchlight 2, it's, like, obvious that, 1 feels like the test run for that. It almost feels like the beta of Torchlight 2 or something. And I kind of struggled with it for a little bit, and then, I tried all 3 of the character classes a little, and I was like, nah, I could put my hours into something else. And now they've made this Torchlight 3, which is like this MMO that nobody who likes Torchlight 1 or 2 seems to like for some reason, even though the whole plot of, supposedly the developers from the beginning, the whole, like, the long-term plan of developing the Torchlight series was they were eventually going to make, like, an MMO-type game. But now that they're actually there, it's kind of like it's got mixed reviews at best. Like, people do not seem to be into it. That's a shame. I'm not saying that to, like, dunk on the developers or anything. I'm just like, just kind of sad that it didn't work out that way. Because I would have liked to play an MMO if it was as good as Torchlight 2, but, everyone's saying it isn't. Some other weird nonsense I have in my Steam library. I'm just going to take a peek at that for a minute. I bought Cyberpunk 2077, but until that gets about another year worth of knocking glitches out of it, I don't know. I've got Rampage Knights, which is a good, like, side-scrolling beat-em-up. It's kind of like a roguelite version of Final Fight, I guess, or Golden Axe, if you want to look at it that way. That could be some fun. I've got Serious Sam installed, like the Serious Sam Fusion version, which is a much better version of the engine. That could be Serious Sam games I had a lot of fun with back in the day. I really loved those kind of the single player FPS, like just sort of, fighting hordes of monsters type thing. I've got pretty much the entire Borderlands collection, but I don't really know anybody, like any streamer I know personally who's doing Borderlands at the moment. I've grinded the hell out of Borderlands 2 and Borderlands pre-sequel. I actually had the original Borderlands before the Game of the Year edition, before they did the upgrade, before they did the sort of remaster. I had level 69 characters for, like all of the characters up to level 69, and I had tons of legendaries, and I actually went and deleted that because I'm like, if I'm going to go and play I had the option to import my saves when they brought the remastered version out, and I decided not to because I'm like, what's the point if... Well, first of all, the original saves were, like, a little bit glitchy, that I had some glitches on some of the saves that, like, I was wondering if they were a little bit corrupted and if importing them would be a problem. And aside from which, I had so much stuff hoarded on the old ones that, like, why am I replaying the game if I'm just going to, like, go back to my collection of, like, 30 legendaries and Moxie's Vault and just, mostly use, like, the same 4 or 5 guns. So, if I'm going to replay it, it's going to be to replay the story and replay the entire, like, story mission chain. So just having saves that are already at the end of all that is, already have all the missions ticked off and whatever. It doesn't seem like, you know, that's not why I would go back to the first one. Video is paused. It might just be you because I have my own stream up in a browser right now and I haven't seen any pauses. If you want to try and reload the stream or like, you know, reload the page in your browser or something like that. I don't think I'm getting cut off. Stream Manager says I'm still up, so I mean, I think it might just be you. I hope your internet's all right. I know that like having a little bit of internet trouble lately here, but that's usually in the middle of the night. Like I think they do a reset or something in the middle of the night that the cable modem gets up. Thank you, I appreciate that. Thanks for letting me know. That my cable modem gets rebooted somewhere around like between like 12 and 1 o'clock. So, you know, if I were to start a stream just before that, that'd be a potential problem. Usually takes, you know, about 5 minutes before everything is back up and so on. But yeah, okay. Yeah, I want to start. One of the reasons I want to start streaming more, even though I'm kind of just doing a just chatting stream without a hell of a lot to talk about, is you know, just testing the technology. Also, I just want to see that if it seemed to do all right for the Conan stream, but I just want to make sure that my computer doesn't choke, you know, while I'm trying to do an actual gaming stream. So I'm giving this as much of a stress test as possible. I kind of wish I had the computer set up in a better place because this is, as you can tell, this is the dining room. This is where the cable modem happens to be, and I don't want to have to connect on Wi-Fi, so this is where we are. There were reasons that we had it installed here originally, and none of those reasons are kind of still relevant, but here it is, and, you know, having it redone would be a pain in the ass, so this is, I want to see if I can get some kind of backdrop or something for this to just cut it off so that it's not like my, you know, my break front and my dishes, grandma's dishes or whatever over there. You know, I'd much rather have it in my room with, like, you know, my comic collection in the background or something like that pinned up on the wall or something cool like that, but that's not what I got right here right now, so let's see. You know, I think I might actually get into a game. Let me see if I can smoothly transition to playing anything but just chatting, and I'll see if I can update my stream without making a mess of it. That ought to be a fun experience. I should learn to do this on my phone. So, let me see what we got here. I think I'm gonna maybe just continue the... Oh, you know what? If I do Conan, when I launch Conan, that usually chokes the CPU, and it'll probably knock me offline. Maybe I should try something else. I might have to restart stream if that happens, but you know what? Let me test it and see if I can get it to function properly. Alright. Let me see if updating that information works. Okay. Alright. Beautiful. Now, okay, I'm going to launch the game. Good luck, everyone. We'll see if this thing spontaneously combusts or not. Hopefully I will see you in a minute, and hopefully I will still be live. Okay, don't put that there. Still have you on my phone so I can still see chat, by the way. Um, Alright, my face should be in the corners because I switched scenes. Hopefully that's working out. Let's launch the game. Alright. Okay, and hopefully OBS does not crash, and hopefully the game is actually visible. You know, we can hope for all sorts of things. I mean, we can hope for Twitch moderation to stop being a shit show. Oh, wait, did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. Okay, so in a few seconds I should be in game. Just feel free to let me know if we're actually getting into the game or if we're actually crashing. Yeah, this is never seen this game. I'm quite interested. This is basically a survival game in this kind of like Ark or 7 Days to Die or something in that vein. But it's themed around the Conan universe, like, you know, mostly the Robert E. Howard stories. It was like, I mean, the Conan stuff, like, like a lot of times when we think of Conan, we only remember stuff like the movies and comic books from the 80s, but I mean, it actually goes way back. It was, like, Robert E. Howard, the creator, was actually a fan of H.P. Lovecraft, and these stories came out, like, in the 20s and 30s originally in various pulp magazines. Yeah, and lurk mode is still working. Okay, good luck with work. But thanks for letting me know we're here. Alright. Can't tell if stream is choking or if the thing is working. We'll see. The loading screen usually gets a little sluggish right around that last little bit of the loading bar. I'm still using amazing spinning platters of Rust technology because I should have gotten SSDs and I didn't realize how important that was. But I wanted I was like, well, SSDs are expensive for the same storage, and I might want to edit videos for my YouTube channel and stuff, so I might need all that storage. I have never actually edited a video in my entire life, so, and I don't know if I will at this point. So, you know, that was a missed opportunity there to get the SSDs. Alright, so this, last time I was on, I showed, excuse me, let me get out of here. This is climb up on the roof and show you my surroundings. This is the Highlands area of the Conan Exiles world. And this is my base in the Highlands under this this busted aqueduct here. Looked like a good place to build a little shelter. So what started out as a little shelter a while ago has gotten a little bigger over about 4,000 hours of gameplay or whatever. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm confusing that with my other games. This one I think I have about 1,700 hours into. But a lot of, as you can tell, a lot of that has been building. I mean, I have my second map room is over here. My first one is in the big main base over by, well, this also kind of shows you a map of the game world. Or I could just show you the actual map. See, my main base is over here in like the sort of tropical desert island area by the river, which is more or less around where you start out. And this one is up here by the Northern Aqueduct, which is a higher level area, and you don't reach this until later. And the more endgame content area would be this volcano up here, which is at the end of this Arctic wasteland that stretches around it. And there's a swamp area over here, and there's a tropical jungle over here. And there's this forgotten sunken city in the sands, Indiana Jones area over here, and a city of relic hunters who explore this area a lot. This is pretty much the only place you're going to find a lot of NPCs to buy items from or anything like that. There are a few others around the map, but it's really it's pretty sparse, except for one of the pirate bases up here. But yeah, that's the game world. Now there are these. You can build this thing called a map room once you have enough demon blood, among other ingredients, which you get from killing possessed monsters, which are kind of the rare ones that you ordinarily don't want to run into. And you can craft the materials to make a map room that's, for one thing, it's a map of the area. It shows you what the map of the world looks like. You can actually see it's three-dimensional and has little, like a little Lego set over here. And there are these obelisks scattered around the game worlds that once you've reached, say once I've gone over here to this one in the swamp and touched it in person and attuned it to my bracelet, then I can go to that. This gem lights up in your map rooms, and then you can just teleport there instead of having to ride a mount all the way over there, because this game originally didn't even have mounts, or just manually hoof it over there. The only problem is the teleportation from the map room, as far as I can tell, is a one-way trip. There is no way to just teleport back to your map room. So, that's a little irritating, but, but it's certainly, I could see how it would be easily abused otherwise, though. It's not supposed to be that easy to haul materials back to your base and so on from all over the world. So, I don't want to spoiler too much of this game. I have a bad habit of just blabbing everything that I found in here, which, I don't want to ruin the exploration experience for people who are new to it. But that's the map room, and if I go up here, I have, I needed extra room to put a couple extra stoves and, campfires and whatever, so I put it up here. I have my archers up here ready to, rain misery on anybody who attacks my base. A lot of trained animals down there. I have panthers and turtles and wolves, oh my. Actually, I think those are hyenas. Yeah, greater hyenas. Thank you. I have a whole lot of dancers over here. Because, well, I mean, you can never have too many dancers, let's face it. They're cute. This is the Wheel of Pain, where you, when you capture somebody, you tame them to become one of your followers, which is, totally not problematic. Yeah, this game, I mean, the Hyborian Age, the Conan world is definitely not a nice place, and it's even less nice over here, because this is supposed to be basically, the Exiled Lands is sort of where, where they exile, criminals and people that's, all the civilizations basically sort of, this is sort of where they dump you if you've pissed them off one too many times. So, this is kind of this is supposed to be a bad place. So, it's not surprising that people are kind of mean to each other over here. This is effectively, see, what, the way the game starts is that you start here with a, a slave bracelet, that you have a magic bracelet that will kill you if you try to escape the Exiled Lands area, because there's if you see those, I don't know if you can see those up there, there's little row of statues up on the edge of that mountain, that's the ghost fence, or the the death wall, whatever you want to call it. There's this magic barrier that if you try to walk through it, your bracelet will just sort of instantly kill you. So part of the main plot, they kind of added a single player plot to this as an afterthought, if we're going to be super honest. But what you're supposed to be doing is basically collecting magical artifacts so that you can bang them together at this one area and create something that will allow you to get rid of your bracelet. But that officially ends the game. It's like you get the final cutscene, delete your character, delete your game world, and that's basically the end of it. So I went and completed that, but I haven't gotten through with it. That item is still in the vault at my original base, like the keystone, which is what you create after the end of that at the end of that quest. So this is kind of what my base looks like here. I have let's see. I have some compost heaps for, it's a good place to put rotten meat if you need fertilizer. Dismantling bench, so if I find weapons and armor on people, I can just throw it in here and it'll get me a fraction of what the construction materials are for that item, which is sometimes when you're kind of struggling in the early game, this is sometimes a good thing to have, because it might get you materials that you don't know how to make yet otherwise. This is the name of the base on the sign, is Crunching Leaves, which is after the first named NPC I had here, who got, who valiantly died to that asshole over there, who was a kind of world mini boss that you, I'm gonna try not to aggro this guy unless I have a reason. But yeah, I was trying to level up my follower, and this guy basically just came over here and just sort of killed me again, and then killed about 16 of my animals before we finally, took him down, because 0 level followers are just not even an obstacle to those guys. So I'm gonna try to avoid that guy over there. This is my animal training pen, armored animal pen. This is if you find baby animals, you can put them in here with some food and they become followers, which is how you get animal followers. The human followers, you put them on the Wheel of Pain and give them food, and after a certain amount of time of pushing this thing around, they agree that they would rather follow you around and obey orders than push this thing around forever. Apparently that's how that works. Granted, it's kind of I've been in relationships like that, so I guess I shouldn't judge too hard. And on the inside of my base, I have my tannery to make skins into leather, tanner's table, because they split certain functions from the armorer's table off to another table because there were too many recipes. This is where you make armor. This is an improved carpenter's bench, where you make bows, you make laminated wood, you make ladders and certain, siege engine type stuff. Furnace for making ore into ingots of metal that you can use to craft things. Blacksmith's bench for crafting the ingots of metal into weapons and tools. This is just a chest that I dump things into, and I don't know where else to put it when I come back from a farming run. I just, and I'm over encumbered, I just dump everything in here and sort it out later. Alchemist's bench. Fireball cauldron. These used Fireball cauldron used to be where you did all your alchemy stuff. They split some of it off to the bench because, again, too many freaking recipes in the menu, and having them all in the same place was kind of a hindrance, especially once you add things like dyes and war paints. Dryer for drying things, grinder for grinding things, fluid press for you throw stuff in here and it presses fluid out of things. Campfire is just for cooking meat into, just cooking raw meat so that it doesn't spoil. And then the stove allows you to do fancier recipes where you have multiple ingredient recipes that make higher quality foods. What do I have? Speaking of food, what do I have in environment right now? Eat one of these. That gives me a temporary encumbrance capacity boost. Why am I carrying steel bars? I must have grabbed those off of somebody's corpse. chuck that in here for now. Furnaces can also make... Oh, wait, that's already glass. Yeah, if I put crystals in here, I get these plates of glass, which then I can put up to... Let's go up to the second level, and I can put them in the casting table and make glass flasks out of it. And glass flasks you fill with water, and that's how you make potions and dyes and certain other chemical products. This iron pick I don't really need. I should probably just smash it for iron bars in the dismantling bench. Yeah, that'll dismantle, and then I'm gonna have iron bars when I'm done. This is honey from my beehives. I have an herbal tea over here to drink. Yeah, got 5 iron bars from that. Top of the ones I was already carrying. Throw this in here. Oh, I'm almost... My pickaxe is almost dead here. Yeah, tools and weapons wear out, so you're going to need to repair those on a regular basis. Unfortunately, I do not have any star metal here, so I cannot repair this. I have some hardened steel tools as a backup in case I somehow get myself into a situation where I have, you know, I die somewhere and all of my star metal tools are lost in a volcano or something. But I'm not doing a lot of farming here right now anyway. Let me take the follower I was leveling here, maybe. One of their foods went bad. Can throw that in the compost. Alright. Just throw that in the thrall pot. If you have these pots, basically if you put your thralls are your human combat followers. If you put a thrall pot down and put food in it, they will automatically, on a regular basis, take one piece of food out of, you know, whichever one is first in the thrall pot. The thrall pot also, like, really slows the decay on most items. So, you know, it takes about 10 times as long to go bad. And also for your animal followers, you have feed boxes that do the exact same thing, and I have a couple of feed boxes over here. Actually, I could take all the honey out of these beehives and just dump it in here, just because it's better than having nothing in there. They changed the way thralls and followers eat, though. So if you haven't played this in a while, it used to be that they would take a piece of food out on a regular basis and eat it immediately, which was usually just a waste of a piece of food because there's no hunger mechanic for thralls that I'm aware of. Or for your animal followers, you know, they can't actually starve. So, like, all eating food does is does the same thing it does for you, which is it gives them a healing boost. And for followers, ever since the follower update, that followers can gain levels now, their chance of getting a certain I'm gonna put my torch on so you can see what's going on here. Yeah, so that my, you know, your followers have stats, and their chance of getting another point in one of their stats depends on which foods they've been eating, as they, you know, since their last level. This person has 4,000 health now. It's about 10 times as much as me because, you know, followers are not very balanced right now. I know they have to give them a lot of health because, you know, game AI being what it is, they will just walk into attacks constantly or, you know, walk into traps and so on. But it's a little frustrating sometimes because it's, you know, it feels like their influence on the combat has become outsized. That's sort of like you have to have a follower now, and the follower does most of the work, and not everyone's really thrilled with that. I think there's server settings to tweak that now if it really bothers you that much, but it's, you know, the game is sort of becoming all about the followers and less about the player characters. I mean, since I'm just playing this as, like, player versus environment, like, I'm not really... Like, a lot of the balance changes were, like, people were mostly influenced by people griping over how the PvP was working out, which I could not possibly care less because I don't play PvP, and I don't think I would enjoy PvP in this game. You know, like I said, the public servers have too many problems for PvP to really be viable. There's just too many security problems with the servers, and I don't think, like, if you're playing with a bunch of friends, you probably don't want to spend, like, your whole time just blowing up each other's bases or, you know, like, things like that, you know, so I don't know what the audience is for that. I mean, the overall problem with a lot of these games these days is that, you know, really the, you know, they've kind of lost the war to keep cheaters off of the servers in most of these games, it seems. Like, I've known a lot of people who it seems like they just see it more and more all the time now. Yes, and, like, a lot of my followers have stupid and ridiculous names because that was the best name I could think of at the time. But, yeah, like, the plot to give everyone cool tribal names and stuff is not worked out. It's the way that I, you know, thought it was going to work out, So anyway, this is my Highlands base. I have a vault here where I keep a lot of extra building materials, some extra truncheons and chain bindings for capturing people, because the only guy who makes this stuff is at this base and not the other one. I moved him here so that I could have, if I capture some really good thralls, I can have my master, taskmaster break them. And because they get better stats that way, apparently. And he's also the only one that, like, if I plug that guy into this torture bench, which is where you make the tools for capturing thralls, is that he's the only one who, well, steel truncheon I can make, but, like, see, I can only make the truncheons, and I can make leather bindings and rawhide bindings. He's the only one who knows how to actually make chains out of steel, which is, which gives you a longer time to drag somebody back to base, because your bindings also wear out. Like, the longer that you have somebody, a captured thrall, like, on the end of your, like, leash here, basically, like, this is how many seconds it is before it breaks. Like, you know, steel lasts for 3,600 seconds, which is an hour. So if you know, even if I catch somebody in the remote corner of the map, I can probably get them back here, as long as I don't have to, you know, climb over anything, which means I would have to put it away and lose, you know, like, lose the connection. Put that away now because the sun's coming back up. Yes, there is a day-night cycle in this also, obviously. This outfit I'm wearing is from the Zath altar. You need that to, like, you have the Zath the spider god, and you need to put some, you know, sacrifice some people with your sacrificial dagger and put some blood in the altar and some silk to get that happening. So if you want that outfit, that's what you got to do. Zath religion was added relatively recently, and you can look up on YouTube where to find the religion trainer and where to find Zath priests and so on. Let me just show off the combat a little bit. Hello. There's some dire wolves who are between me and some materials I want to mine. I'm kind of a Warhammer main in this because I just love the Warhammer animations, and they're good for crowd control. Boop, boop. Up, up. That ought to do it. Okay, my stamina ran out, but I think my follower got this taken care of mostly. There we go. Thank you very much. And I'm just gonna put on my meat cleaver real fast and get some raw meat out of these guys. And some wolf heads. Alright. Just gonna run that back to base. Well, actually, while I'm here, let me grab some of this ironstone, because... Yeah, this is what you get to... These are the rocks that you mine to get iron, which you need for pretty much every other metal thing that you want to do. Like you need... Because you need iron to make steel, and steel to make hardened steel, so... This is good for tools, weapons, construction equipment, certain armors. Like if you want to make heavy armors, you're going to need some of this. The basic building materials in this, when you're starting out tier 1 building, is just all you need is stone and wood. You can just hit ordinary rocks and chop trees down and you've got everything you need. But then you want to make, you know, tier 1 building pieces can be damaged by pretty much anything except bare hands. So if you really want your base to be secure against purges, which is when your base gets attacked a la 7 days, you're really going to want higher tier building materials later. For certain, especially depending on what area you build your base in, determines what threat level you're facing. I just over encumbered myself. Let me give some of this to someone else here. You just hold these rocks for me, thank you. Oh, this I guess is what those wolves were eating. That's, yeah. That more or less marks their spawn point. I'm just gonna drag this stuff back here, and these are berry bushes. If I chop these down with a scythe, I can get handfuls of berries to eat. This is a gray lupine flower bush that, like, you can use that to make gray dyes, or you can just use the plant matter to, you can just grind up the flowers to make spices. A lot of the, generally if you have flowers or plant matter or certain things, putting them in the grinder will get you spices that you can use to make spicy food, and that's how you survive cold areas in this game. Like if you go into the Arctic and you have like spiced meat on you, you can eat that to raise your body temperature so you don't freeze to death. Because your body temperature gauge over there in the corner next to encumbrance, if that goes too high or too low, you start taking a damage over time and you will die in like a minute if it gets bad enough. If you're just a little hot or a little cold, like being a little too hot increases water consumption, being a little too cold increases food consumption, but if you have, and doesn't really do much else, but once it gets to like extreme hot or extreme cold, or you're getting frostbite or heat stroke, then you start taking damage rapidly, and it doesn't seem to matter how many, even if you have a lot of health, you're not going to last long at that rate. Your clothing also affects that, but they really changed the way clothing works. Like it used to be that certain armors were good for hot and some were good for cold, and now it was very confusing and led to a lot of illogical situations. Like you had situations where you would, like if you really had the wrong set of armor, you would literally be better off going naked, which doesn't make a lot of sense and was kind of silly, so they decided to give them all resistance to both. So that was another thing that they kind of they simplified or dumbed down depending on how you look at it. I'm always a little skeptical when people complain like, oh, they dumbed it down. It's like, sometimes a lot of these games, they get in love with the developers get in love with overcomplicated mechanics, like things that were just more fiddly than they needed to be to convey what they were trying to convey about the game world. And you know, like you look at the evolution of the Elder Scrolls games, and everyone is just constantly going on, oh, they dumbed it down for console players because console players are idiots, blah blah blah. And it's like, no, you know, I personally think the interface in Oblivion was, I mean, I've looked at the interface in Oblivion, I've looked at the one in Morrowind. Excuse me. And I think I think Oblivion was an improvement. And when they went and, when Skyrim came out and they completely got rid of attributes, like that now you just have skill, instead of having attributes and skills, you just have attributes. Honestly, that was probably a positive change. And a lot, even though it eliminates a lot of the silly exploits that, you know, I used to enjoy doing in Oblivion, it was probably a good thing. Because, if anything, most role-playing games are just sort of plagiarizing way too much from old, you know, role-playing game mechanics, like, you know, old games like Dungeons and Dragons, like paper and pencil RPGs. And a lot of that stuff, like, some of it works well for computer games and some of it doesn't. And it's better to just drop the baggage sometimes. You know, back then they always used to make fun of TSR for, like, you know, like, people used to joke, like, TSR, the original publisher of Dungeons and Dragons, like, people used to joke that it stood for They Sue regularly, because they were suing so many people for ripping off D&D or suing other developers for, like, you know, for kind of, like, borrowing a little bit too heavily from their work. But, I mean, if you're going to be super honest, I mean, there were literally other competing games to D&D out there that were, they were such copy and paste jobs that they literally had the same misspellings for certain words that D&D had. I mean, that's how derivative they were, that I can see that they were getting a little, I could see the publishers of D&D getting a little testy over that. Because, you know, it's like, you know what, if you're gonna, you know, if it's just like, I'm gonna make D&D only better, it's like, at least don't be a total hack and don't just copy everything, you know. But anyway, I digress. I still have that meat in my inventory. You know, I notice this thing, like, when I'm playing this game in particular, when my mind starts wandering and I ramble about something, I literally start running in circles. It's like a visual demonstration of my thought process. It's very, very handy. Okay, so you throw ironstone and stone in here, and you can get iron ingots, and stone will become bricks, which is, bricks are tier 2, construction material. You need, like, instead of wood, you need shaped wood, which you actually have to make at the carpenter's bench. And you need iron reinforcements, which you make at the blacksmith's bench. Which I don't think I have any right here, but I think I have some in this chest. Do I? No, I moved them into the vault. Never mind. Anyway, but that's how you make tier 2. This, and the stuff I'm standing on right now, is tier 3, which requires hardened bricks, which you have to have stone consolidant you make in the alchemist's, the Firebolt Cauldron. And, you know, if you have this in your furnace, then, like, as soon as the bricks are made, you'll start hardening them into hardened bricks. And you still need shaped wood, and you need steel reinforcements, which you can also make at the blacksmith's bench. If you have a tier 4 blacksmith, the best shortcut to make, like, a tier 4 blacksmith will have the recipe to turn iron reinforcements into steel at the bench, which saves you the bad conversion rate of iron to steel that they have now, because it, like, as it stands now, to make, like, if you put steel fire in here and make the iron bars into steel, you're, like, losing, yeah, it costs 5 iron bars to make 1 steel bar, whereas here, if you make, like, you could use 1 iron bar to make 1 iron reinforcement, and then, like, you can just, if you have a tier 4 blacksmith, which I do not have here, you can just put your steel fire in here, and then just, he'll have a recipe to turn the iron reinforcements into steel for one steel fire, and that saves you a good amount of steel. A good amount of iron, I should say, because otherwise I would, you know, I'd be, like, only getting about 20% of the steel if I'm, like, making the steel in here just to make it into reinforcements. I have some healing potions and some dagger poison and some bandages. All good things to have. Violet curative for when you get poisoned, because poisonous, well, venomous monsters are assholes in this, and I've died to a lot of them. Let me put these claws back in here. I can put the wolf heads in this to make blood and bone, which is ew, but it works. put some of this meat away. Now, ordinarily, when you're starting out the game, if you try to eat the raw meat that you chop out of monsters, you will not heal. You will just get food poisoning, which actually costs you. It's a bad thing to have. So I'm just gonna cook this for right now because I don't know what else to do with it. I have a well dug over here, so I'm going to fill these glass flasks with water at my well. There. I can drop these in here. I could use these at the alchemist bench to make certain things, but none of them are things I need right now, so I'm just going to boil them on the stove and make purified water out of them, which is like you need the purified water to make recipes that require water like herbal tea or soup, which are also bases for other recipes. You can also use purified water at a... I'll show you that in a minute. Yeah, the purified water can also be used with leavening agent in one of these fermentation barrels to make liquor, which is another way that you can heat yourself up or cool yourself down. Although you have to be careful because, one, these are very heavy. You know, carrying a stack of liquor around will, you know, it's a significant amount of weight, a lot of encumbrance. And second of all, if you drink too much of it, you will get alcohol poisoning and you will start taking damage from it. And aside from which, you start getting, like, you know, the usual cute effects that you would expect from that, like your screen starts to motion blur and stuff like that. So if that's not what you're going for, you know, you kind of want to avoid that. Not really gonna have anywhere to put this when Should I put some of this away here, maybe? Let me do that. I'm just gonna eat one of these right now and toss the rest in there. This is the bed. Well, like, beds are your respawn points, so you want to try to put it somewhere in your base that it wouldn't be easy for enemies to reach it and smash it if you get purged. Because if you don't have this, like, basically you respawn at whichever bed you did this to recently. You just click on it and it updates your spawn point. But if you don't have one, you can respawn at your bedroll. You can only have one bedroll in the world at a time. Placing a new one destroys the previous one. If you don't have a bed or a bedroll, you respawn all the way back in that desert, all the way at the south end of the game world where you started when you were a baby survivor with no items. And that sucks, because that basically means you lose at that point, because you're not going to get back to your base in time to do anything to stop them from smashing the rest of it. And, you know, that's a situation to be avoided. Just to show you how this works, I'm going to take this shredded roast and I'm going to turn it into spiced roast. I put my ingredients in here, I pick a recipe, spiced and shredded roast. This you have to cook first for some reason. Most of the spiced meat recipes, you can just cook them on the stove. This you actually have to cook the meat first and then spice it. So I have to cook that in a campfire, which I just did. How many I want to make, and I'm going to start the stove. And I have a tier 2 cook here who speeds things up a little bit, but not as much as the cooks at my home base. Yeah. Okay. That's what I got here. Just gonna check something real quick. I just want to see how my stream is looking on my phone. Okay, it looks like it's working. Good, good, good. Go back to Stream Manager. Here we are. Okay, looks like it's working. Alright, so the technology test is working out so far. Nice thing to know. Still need to have a few odds and ends I still need to drop off. Take that spiced food for now, because if I just leave it there, it's going to rot. Generally, everything will rot if you leave it there long enough, so, you know. It still happens on, like, as long as I've been playing this game, it still happens on a regular basis that like, this game has, like most survival games, this is also strong time management elements, so, so you want to watch that. I don't know why I have a mammoth head here. I'm not going to make a trophy out of this. I don't do taxidermy anymore. You can make all these animal trophies out of stuff. Oh, I took down the ones over here because I got sick of them. I forgot about that. But yeah, you can like when you get an animal head from butchering an animal, you can there's a skill that allows you to turn it into a trophy and stick it up on the wall like I've stuck these torches up. But I really overdid that in the early game just because, ooh, I learned a new recipe, and I did it friggin' everywhere, and then I got sick of it, and it probably makes everything, probably kills my frame rate every time I walk into certain parts of my old base, because there's just, there's just stuff stuck to the walls everywhere, and it's slightly ridiculous. Just squish this mammoth head for reasons.
Huh?
Oh, that gets you a lot, because, well, it's a big animal. Oh, also, if you have blood, you can get blood by squishing, animal heads or human flesh in the fluid press. And if you have blood, you can make blood sausage. Which is, certain animal followers, get good stats from that, so that's sometimes a good thing to have. Delicious. There we go. I have some ice, which you can chop ice in the Arctic areas. There's there are big spikes of ice sticking out of the ground that you'll need that ice if you want to go to the volcano, because that is how you avoid dying of heat stroke while you're running around a volcanic area. Each piece of ice that you use will last maybe a minute or two, will protect you from the heat. Also, you can use that to make, for certain recipes, if you have herbal tea, you can, well, this guy doesn't know the recipe, but I have guys at my other base who know it, but you can add ice to it, make iced tea. Yes, somehow you need a recipe for that. Some of the recipes are kind of you're really going to make me unlock this, because, another one is meaty mashup is just various meat scraps cooked together. It's okay, that's actually a very good recipe to unlock, because you have a lot more of this and you know what to do with later, and it takes a low-grade and a medium-grade food and makes a high-grade food out of them. But it's why do I need a special recipe for, that requires, nothing but 2 different pieces of meat? It's yeah, you've unlocked tying your shoelaces. It's one of those type of perks, I don't get it. It's you've unlocked breathing. But that's the nature of these games, though. Just goes with the territory. Was I stockpiling crystals in here? I guess I was. There we go. If I have enough crystal, I can make steel fire, which is basically not steel fire. What am I talking about? Dragon powder, which is basically gunpowder, and that's how you make bombs, and that you can plant, and you also make bombs for the trebuchet, well, however you say it, and and you can also make explosive arrows with it. I don't really need any right this minute, though, so not necessarily a good use of resources. Stone Consolidant, they changed the recipe a couple of times because the game's, well, you know, the game's economy used to be so different in so many ways here. Like, it used to be that you used to get ichor from, like, there's 3 types of fish you can get, and the lowest grade fish, when you cooked it, would leave this disgusting residue. And, you know, or, like, you know, there are 3 grades of shellfish also, that you would get ichor from them, and ichor, whatever. And you would combine that with twine to make stone consolidant. And now, then they made it, I think, ichor and plant matter, then they made it resin and plant matter, because they changed the way fishing works, that you don't get fish automatically without bait anymore. And the other thing they changed is that fish do not leave ichor when you cook them. So now ichor is actually kind of a pain in the ass to get, because you have to harvest it from, like, bugs and spiders or something. It's also useful for certain other alchemical recipes I don't want to spoil, but yeah, this is one of the many balance changes that went over. And again, that was probably, I doubt the single player base really cared that much about it. We also needed to make alchemical base, which is really important, because that's how you make a lot of the materials for the epic tier armors, which are important later. This is just corrupted bones is like, this is if you want to make skeletal servants, which I learned that from the Darfari temple. What was that area called? The summoning place, I think. But yeah, you have to, like, find a recipe for that. You know, my follower here is high enough level that I think we can probably take, just to do something more interesting than running around fiddling with items here, I'm going to see if I can kill that annoying wolf I told you about earlier. So, you know, wish me luck. Hopefully this isn't a total disaster. Let's see if we can get this guy. Problem is, he's also with a regular wolf, and if this one turns out to be possessed, you really don't want to be here. Because this is, the ordinary mobs can randomly turn out to be the possessed mobs, and that's a problem. That's a bad day if that happens. This guy somehow did not aggro at all, because I guess he's like... It's like sitting over there playing with his phone or something. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is going to be pretty bad. Come on. Hoping I can stun lock this guy enough that he doesn't just, like, eat me in one chomp. Which he probably can. Just gonna eat some food here to get my health regen going. I have potions and bandages if it comes to that, but I'm hoping it doesn't come to that, because using bandages totally locks you in place for like 10 seconds if you wanted to finish. And potions are like an Estus flask thing that you need to at least buy a few seconds of not getting beat on for that to help. Alright, I think we got him. Did we get him? I shouldn't have done that without my torch off. You guys can probably barely see what's going on. Okay. And we got the Summon-a-Bish. But yeah, this... What you get from... Did I get any demon blood from him this time? I guess I didn't. I got ahead, though. But yeah, that guy was, like, the bane of my existence back when I was trying to set up my base around here. Because every time I aggroed him, it was just a miserable experience. Where I got most of the iron to build stuff for this... Oh, that looks so pretty in the dark with all the torches. I like it. It's nice when your decoration and stuff pays off, you know? You know, it just kind of reminds you of, like, what you accomplished. Oh, I haven't even showed you the top of that thing. Yeah, you know, I have an elevator that goes up there. Seriously. I should show you that. That's actually a neat little trick to make that work. And I could talk about that. That would be interesting to discuss. There's a lot of stone over here, and if you scoot around this area, there is quite a bit of ironstone for you to collect. I'm not doing it right now because my pickaxe is dying. But yeah, there's a lot of ironstone here. So I would just do a loop around this thing with my pickaxe and then drag it all back to the back to my furnace, and that's where I got the iron and steel to make most of this structure. You know, I mean, I should have photoed it from up here, actually. Hold on. I want to go back up there and screenshot it. Where are we now? Okay, can I see all the... See, you know, there's that draw distance thing that, like, every torch is only going to show up if you're within exactly however many feet of it, so... If I want it to look nice, I gotta, Also, you can use the... V is for Vanity Mode, so if you want to take screenshots and want everything to look super cool, you can do this. And it kills the HUD elements, so that you can just have, you know, just your waifu and her base and weapon and follower and whatever, and without all the health bars and, you know, quick access bar and whatever. Nice that you can climb pretty much anything in this, and you can skid down anything. Like if you want to get from the top of a cliff to a bottom real fast, it's just you just sort of walk backwards off of it and then hit spacebar to just grab the wall with your fingers and slide down like Spider-Man, and it's really, it's one of my favorite animations in the game, I think. It's just, the movement is just fun. Oh, here's some fish. I put a couple of fish traps and a couple of shellfish traps down here that I never use anymore, and I keep forgetting they're there. There's not enough fish recipes in this. That'd be a nice thing for modders, or, you know, developers to work on. Are they doing this bug where my followers up on the rooftop are deciding to just, like, yeet themselves in random places? Because I'm so over that right now. I'm just going to put her back here. These three and the ones these were, I mean, aside, the stupid names are my fault, but these were, Cannibal Brute is a Darfari fighter that you can find in a certain certain Darfari camp area, and you know, they're not bad to have as followers in the early. I've captured a few, and they're not bad as followers in the early game. There's also my current follower is also a cannibal bird. The Darfari are like the cannibal tribe, but then there's like, you have the you know, the Veneer, who are like, yeah, or you know, you have the Nordheimers here, who are kind of like Vikings, and you have a lot of other like fantasy cultures here in this game world. There's like, I think there's like 10 different playable races or something. But it's all, I mean, it's, from the player's point of view, it's pretty cosmetic. It's like, it's just, you can pick whichever, you know, whichever like race and appearance you want, and it's like, you know, has no effect on stats or anything. Picking your religion does kind of affect something, but it's just like, you can kind of unlock one religion for free if you feel like it, but all religions are also unlockable for free once you find their trainers. So, well, I shouldn't say for free. One of them is a pain, because you have to, that one you actually have to get from a dungeon, and you can't pick it at the start. But yeah, it's like, you know, you have a lot of flexibility with character creation in this, in that regard. Yeah, I was going to put that direwolf head in the fluid press, I think. Let's let's drop off whatever other items I have to get rid of here. Squish. Wondering if I should take something out of this fridge to make room for this meat. I don't really need to cook all this meat right now. This handful of insects is honestly like not that useful. I might just drop that in the food bin for the animals. Here, have some bugs. My turtles will be very happy with that. There are other things you can do with the bugs, but I'm just not... Like, the handful of insects you get from chopping down bushes is useful if you need to bait the fish traps or the shellfish traps. Neither of which I'm really using right now, so who cares? Close this door. I don't really have anything to do with this blood either, I think, at the moment. I'll just carry it with me. For some reason, blood doesn't go bad. Certain items that really should go bad don't, but I'm not going to argue with them. Let's make sure I still got the encumbrance thing. Yes, so I was going to show you... I have some elevators here. This is an elevator just to get up to my map room without having to climb the wall over my vault. This vault area would probably be more enclosed, except that I was trying to finish this wall, and for some reason it just didn't want to happen. That there were like parts of it that it just wouldn't let me build. So I decided to just sort of leave this front open. This is to go up to my map room, although it gives me a pretty good jumping point up to the roof anyway. Ordinarily, the way I would get up to the roof, though, just let me skid down this for a second. So I'd go up my stairs. This used to be the roof until I added a second level. They used to have a little covering over this stairs until I did that renovation. And I just climbed this ladder up here through the trapdoor. And... see... Now, the problem with... if you want to have an elevator from one part of your base to another, they have to be on the same grid. Like that be part of the same build, because these... you can put the first piece anywhere, but then everything after that snaps to other pieces snap to each other in a grid pattern. I'm sorry, guys. It looks like I am going to have to go for a minute. I'm going to leave this idle for like 5 minutes, and I'll be back. Just give me a second to address this. Alright, sorry, I'm going to have to end stream for right now, but thank you for being here, everyone who was here, and I'll see you next time.